Hi, Steve. Long time no see.
Hey, Jim, it has been good to be back.
Suppose we should just dive right in and get talking today, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot I think to talk about. I have to go out fire someone today. I got a couple heaters and pools that aren't working. Repair orders. Oh my God, they're
Oh,
coming in.
hold on. I meant talk about
Oh,
records
oh, well, I guess we can do that too.
because we all know talking about records is much more fun. Hey, everybody, and welcome once again to Two Guys Talking About Records, a vinyl community podcast. We are back on track and having a catch-up day, and it feels good to get back in together. My name's Jim, and I own a record store.
And I am Steve, and I am a record collector,
How
retired one at
how
that.
are you holding up, sir?
Well, this is the first day off in 28 days, and as soon as we're done, I already got things I got to go follow up on. So, but we're hoping things slow down, but it has yeah, it's been exhausting, and I really have no time to listen to records. But I have brought in some stuff, and I have listened to it all. So, you know, we try to make time when we can.
It is a rough one, and I know this is your busy time of year, but it feels good to get back into this after, well, a week off for the show itself, and we can talk about why I did that. It was the Memorial Day weekend. The store was closed. I was out in a camper. You were tied up. You were tied up the week before. So I think I do want to thank all of our viewers that have stuck with us through this past couple of weeks. It feels good to be back. It feels good to be talking to you again, and hopefully things continue to improve on your retirement side of things.
Yeah. I plan to do this part-time for 10 years. I have to reconsider and get with my financial advisor and go, uh, what else is there? Will I be in abject poverty or I have to give up record collecting if I go earlier?
Well, you should
But
talk financial advisor, healthcare doctor, and maybe a
yeah,
psychologist to help get you through the rest of the season.
yeah. But when you talk about viewers, that people that listen in or watch the podcast, it is true. I had a wonderful note from a gentleman in Belgium, Alan, and he came upon our podcast. Just didn't know it popped up, and he
Yep.
listened to it, and then he began to go back, and he's listened to every single podcast we've done now,
Oh,
and
wow.
okay, and then he said, "Hey, I'm going to sub." He subbed my channel, and he dropped me a real nice note about that. But it's just that he enjoyed what we do, enjoyed the banter, and then now I said, "Good luck in trying to get through all my videos." But I mean, it was just really nice, to hear from Ellen, out of Belgium. I thought that it was a great email that he sent me, and I've had other people reach out to me and stuff, and it's just nice that people enjoy this. So I mean,
Very
I know
cool.
we do. So glad
Yeah.
others do too.
If nobody were watching or listening, I think you and I would still be doing this, time permitting on your
Yeah, we
side
would
too.
be because we've done for years. Yeah, it didn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Well, cool. Thank you guys very much again for sticking and watching. So, it's going to be a shorter podcast episode today, Steve. I think we're just going to do some catching up. Each of us have a pile of new ads to get through. I've got one news item and one follow up from the episode a couple of weeks back as well. But before we do any of that, I took the time off over the holiday weekend to do some tweaking. Speaking of podcast behind the scenes stuff,
Mhm.
Kim, my wife, we're both media background savvy folks. Has been on me for a while to redo the podcast logo. We're on our second logo right now. The first one got us going, but it was audio only. The second one I kind of threw together. You could tell it's AI-ish. So Kim designed this next one, and I tweaked it a little bit here and there. The two of us worked together, but that's mostly her. I sent that to you today. Is that does that look okay to you? Are you good with that?
It looks great. I really like it. And since I'm not media savvy, I'm always thumbs up.
Well, if that's okay with you, then I'm just going to go ahead and switch the logo right now. That work?
Pop it.
Okay.
Yep.
We're going to do boom and boom. And then boom, there's our new logo on this side right here. There we go. Well, thank
All
you. I
right.
think this one looks kind of cool. And I did switch that on the YouTube side of things already. So, but cool. There's our behind the scenes.
Okay.
We're caught up now, and it's got a spiffy new polish that logo up there. All right. All right. Well, as we do each and every, well, week that we do the podcast,
Mhm.
we cover some recent pickups, some additions to our collection. And I know you've been busy, but you've also had a few things trickling in. I've got a good stack here too. But what do you got, Steve? You got some goodies to show off this week?
Yeah, this is kind of the last 3 weeks of stuff. So there is, I got a care package from you, things I ordered, and just some stuff that I had, pre-ordered or have been waiting on for a while. I have not visited a record store in a month. I
Wow.
just, and I really don't go online. Or I just I I'm not watching videos. So when I watch videos, then they intrigue me. I says, "Well, I got to get that, or I got to get that." You save a lot of money if you don't watch YouTube videos. But I don't want to say that because I want people to watch my videos.
Yeah.
So don't. So whatever I just said, screw it. You know what? Just have self control. Something I don't.
Well, the time
But
factor plays into it for you as well, but you're it's called
yeah,
forced self control, possibly.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so right now, yeah, it should look better on my charge account.
There
So,
we go.
but I did bring in some stuff. One was Nick Cave's Murder Ballads. Uh, I'm not a huge Nick Cave fan. There is some stuff I like of his. His softer stuff, I'm not as big. I like kind of his harder stuff. This was his stories about murder. I mean, yeah, it's kind of gruesome. A lot of them, I believe, are true. And he just put, these stories of, yeah, people getting killed or whatever, famous stories, supposedly. I'm not as positive, but it's a very good album. I've
Is that
wanted
an
this
older
for
one,
years.
or is that a new
Yeah,
or
yeah. This one, no, this one came out, I believe, in 1997.
really? So he was
Either
way
nine
ahead of.
nine
I was gonna say
yeah.
he's way ahead of the curve on that true crime podcast that's so popular right
Yeah, he
now
was.
with a lot of folks.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the first true crime.
There we go.
So there's nothing extra in there or anything. No pictures of people being killed. Uh, it's three-sided, so you have one blank side with no etching. I thought maybe they would have put a murder on the blank side of that, but I did this. I enjoyed this. It's one where you can sit and try to listen to the stories. Generally, it's in the background. I don't hear it all, but yeah, good Nick Cave. I don't have, I said, a lot of his stuff, but the few things I do have, I have enjoyed.
Cool.
Uh, our friend Michael Christensen
Oh yeah.
sent me this album, and this is he's trying to get up to see you. Uh,
I was
which
gonna
you
say
will
I hope he
eventually.
does. I saw that on your channel the other day, and I thought I got to
Yeah,
give Michael a call and see if we can get some for the store and one for me.
yeah, he was going to do that. And this is Evaluation is the name of the album, and it has
Oh,
really
very
cool
cool.
vinyl looking. Michael did 100 of these. They are available on Bandcamp and has some neat artwork. Friend did the artwork on here. And Michael plays everything. There's a couple tracks that have drums. He had the rhythms he wanted, and he gave it to a friend who kind of set up the drums. So one has more of a bongo feel, the other drums. But this is, it's, you can tell by the cover, it's kind of psych. Not kind of, it is, but it's relaxing. It's just, it feels like a journey. It just flows. And I have a number of Michael's albums. This is the seventh album. Some in CD, some in album. And I thought this is his best.
Oh,
I
cool.
truly enjoyed what I heard on this. It was just it it was relaxed. It was like a journey. It
Yeah.
really was like you're taking a trippy psyche journey. You know, he's using he has two different guitars going on, a bass, and of course this other
Yeah,
stuff.
his stuff has always got that ambient feel to it, ethereal,
Hmm.
some, oh, yeah, and definitely the psych sound to it as well.
Yes, very, very much so. So super happy to get that.
Looking forward to
Um,
hearing that one too.
yeah. This is a group called Blushing. I saw them in
Yeah.
concert last year. I had the CD on this, but it finally came out on vinyl. So I had to pick that up. Well, I didn't have to pick it up, but I did. Um, Comes in cool color there. You can see dual color. That's nice. And get back in to the paper. And what else?
Now you saw those guys in concert last year too, correct?
I did. I like Blushing. It's two married couples. They very much kind of a shoegazy type feel to it, shoegazy pop. And yeah, I like their music a lot. Their album they put out last year was one of my favorite albums of the year. So yeah, it's just nice. I bought the CD at the concert, but to see it come in vinyl, I grabbed that.
Very cool.
Uh, last year, it feels like last year. I did show this on my channel. This is our reissue we have been wanting
Yep.
for and desired, the Electric Six out of Detroit, their debut album, which to me is by far their best album. I've listened to some of their other stuff, not all. I mean, they've put out tons of albums or CDs,
Yes, they have.
but but this thing just works from start to finish. It's
Electric
just
Six Fire was one of our top picks when we talked about reissues we'd like to see last year.
yes, it was.
And then that got
Yes, it was.
delayed. I think we talked about this because I showed my copy a couple of weeks ago before I was able to get you your copy. But they had been delayed for a couple of months. It felt like.
Yeah, yeah, and so this coming out was huge, for me and for you because yeah, it's fun, it's rock, it has synthesizer, it's just quirky as all get out.
Now you
Funny
also
lyrics.
said you sent me a note also asking if there was an expanded version of that, and I didn't see one
Yeah,
in our distributor stuff that I could get a hold of, and I've not had a chance to try and track down what that would be. But you saw
yeah.
something like that?
In Discogs they had
Okay.
something, so it was probably something really, just kind of off. Maybe you had to be on their band site or something like that,
Something to
possibly.
look
But
for eventually, I suppose.
yep, just happy to have that. And what else do we got here? That came out of something. Okay. I This is from Record Store Day. You sent me the Virgin Suicides.
Yep.
And what kind of vinyl? We have it here. A
Nice
nice blue
blue.
vinyl. There is actual insert, which is weird for anything from Record Store Day to give you something. Uh, so I like the music from the Virgin Suicides. It's really kind of like a huge Air from the group Air did a lot of it.
Hmm.
This though was not the original. This is more the songs they were listening on the radio during
Really?
it. So it wasn't the actual soundtrack. So I mean, you have Heart Magic Man, Todd Rundgren's "Hello, It's Me," song from Sloan. There are a couple Air songs, the Hollies, all I need is the air that I breathe. Alone again, naturally. It's a lot of real depressing songs because it is a depressing. The Virgin Suicides. All the girls kill themselves. So I mean,
Spoiler.
it's like, yeah, spoiler. Yeah, there you go. Spoiler. If you haven't seen it, just so you know, they all die by suicide. And then the parents are trying to figure out what went wrong. So, Sticks come sail away. That's the last one. I'm sure that makes sense at the very end. So, yeah,
But
it's,
not quite what you
yeah,
thought.
no, celebrate 25 years of the Virgin Suicides with the movie's iconic soundtrack. The soundtrack was different. This is just more of the other songs, I believe. There's
Hmm.
just more instrumental all in. But, oh well. It's still nice. It's cool. It's good. It's fine. It's but just not what I expected. I got 45. Mata. I have no idea what that just came out of. It's just sitting here.
Hmm.
So one of my albums had that. All right.
To track
No
that down
idea.
and see what it was from.
Yeah. Just a couple more, as it's been 3 weeks worth here, but this is really it. The Mavericks. This came out in the 1990s. Let me see if I can see the date on here when it came out. This was 1998 is when it came out. I'm a fan of the Mavericks, but I don't need all their stuff. This is the one I want. And it's just got reissued. So I was so excited because again, it's kind of a CD only type of a thing. Mavericks, I believe out of Texas. They have some Tex-Mex feel to it, country, but rock is in there. Yeah, great instrumentation happening. His singing, Manuel's is phenomenal. And I remember when I got this CD, it was like, this is so darn good, and I played it over and over and over, and I still do. This is one of those albums that, yeah, just totally excited me to see come out again. So great group. These guys have been around a long time, since the early '90s, and still making music. I think they had an album out last year, and I didn't pick it up. Again, I have a couple real favorite albums from them, basically two, and I have them now. So
So you're
maybe
set.
I'll grab some other stuff. Yeah, I am. I'm set that what makes me happy. Maybe one of the newer ones are the most awesome thing in the whole wide world, and I'm missing out. Sometimes in life, we just miss out on things, and we have to learn to live with it. So, but and the final one. Another one from our reissue show that once again the record companies listened
Yep.
to us. So Pink Floyd Live at Pompei, which has been shown on 10,000 YouTube channels already. So time I show it, everyone will have forgotten about it. And I said, go, oh, did that just come out? So yeah. And yeah, it's just a great Pink Floyd album.
It is.
It's right, I believe, right before Dark Side of the Moon. They're already experimenting with Dark Side of the Moon, and it's just never been officially released. But since Pink Floyd sold that catalog,
Yep.
by God, the record company jumped all over it. We need to get the cash coming in to pay for this catalog.
But the thing is that one in particular is a good listen. They did a good job. Stephen Wilson remixing the audio on it. It's been selling like crazy here at the store. I mean, I've been able to keep them in stock and keep moving them out. But you're right. Everywhere you look in the vinyl community YouTube side of things, you see that. I was going to send you this link, but I knew you were too busy. Out of all of the videos that we've seen of Pink Floyd Pompeii, of everybody in the VC showing it off, everybody's been glowing. But I found one where somebody said, it stinks. And they weren't happy with it. And I didn't watch the video. I just kind of, maybe they were doing some clickbait with the thumbnail, but out of all of them, they said it stinks. One says it stinks.
Yeah.
But I disagree, because I think it sounds great. It's the music we've heard before, especially if you've had the boots, as we've talked about. But to have that official one and have a real nice, crisp, clean, clear, and official version is very cool.
Yeah, it was, and there's no doubt we're going to be seeing more of that kind of stuff
Yep.
being reissued, because their vault has to be full of stuff. And I would probably say maybe, I don't know, but maybe Waters has always pushed back on reissuing some of it, possibly, or some of the others. But now that they don't own the catalog,
Yep.
records company, I mean, that's, when you when you pay $500 million for something,
Yep.
you got a lot of money to try to, just so they don't flood the market.
And on that note, speaking of flooding the market, this is the store copy. I did pick up a Blu-ray of the video. I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to crack it at home. But yeah, as part of the release with the album, they put out the Blu-ray and the DVD version of the movie, remastered from the original 35 millimeter. It's supposed to look fantastic, and the audio remixed on that by Wilson as well. I'll get around to watching it. Like I said, the holiday when we took off, I was not near my DVD player or anything, or the Blu-ray player, so I didn't get a chance. But very cool.
I'm wondering Do you think did they have, you may not know, a deluxe edition that put all that together into one
Nope.
box? Not really?
That's we. I
Nope,
think
just
we talked about being a little shocked. Yeah, that's gonna.
yeah,
I would guess that's gonna be out in time for the holidays. They'll put all of
yeah.
that together in a different box with an expand. I don't know how they can expand it, but you never
But
know.
they'll give you
They'll.
a poster and maybe some marbles,
There we go.
since Pink Floyd likes marbles.
Put them in. But yeah, I was surprised that they didn't bundle the stuff together. But I'm going to go on record again saying that I predict that that will happen either sometime late this year or maybe next. We'll see. We did a good job
Okay,
predicting the Electric Six and the Pompei reissues, so we'll see where we go with that.
you bet.
So I had a good week, a couple of weeks picking stuff up as well. I'm going to actually start with some VLCT and a Dickies and the Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Not the soundtrack, but the album. There's a little bit of a difference. And one of our customers, coming here for years, Brooke, had we've been talking about this record for some time, and he's been on the lookout for one. He knew that I was kind of on the lookout for one. It's really more of an extended play, an EP, with one song from the movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space. But the originals, now I used to own an original of this. I don't remember how and why I moved it out, but at one point long before the store, I did. The originals, they can float around 60 to 80 bucks depending upon the quality and the pressing. Excuse me, but they have reissued this a few different times, and this one has been reissued by a label called Puke and Vomit Records. And they
I've
did
heard of
a
that.
they did a couple. So Brooke was asking to get one, and he just said order two. So he ordered one for me and passed that along to me, and he kept a copy for
Huh.
himself, which was very nice to do. But Puke and Vomit did two different versions of this. This one here is a cotton candy, and you can't quite tell, but this is the cotton can. The cotton candy is supposed to be pink, a little opaque through there, and the other one was a popcorn colored vinyl, which I think is pretty much the exact same thing. Now,
If I saw some cotton candy that looked like that, I would probably think it's rancid.
well, no, that's a different group, but anyhow,
Oh,
insert. They put an insert in there as well. It's got. I don't know if this was part of the original, but no, I don't think it is. But yeah, they put some stuff in. It's got some old flyer copies on there, and then just because it included a popcorn bag as well, because if you've seen the movie, you understand. But inside the popcorn bag, they put some stickers, and so we've got some
oh,
Dickies stickers in there as well. Some very cool. It's a cool package. Now, if you're unfamiliar, oh, there's one more sticker in there. If you're unfamiliar with the movie, have you ever seen the movie, Steve?
no,
Oh,
no, no.
it's a terrible B grade movie, which means I love it. And
Okay.
everyone else around, it's exactly what it sounds like. You have a UFO that looks like a big top tent fly down to Earth in a small town, and there are giant alien clowns inside of it that proceed to begin killing all the townsfolk. And the Dickies
Yeah.
did a song for it called Killer Clowns. Now, the soundtrack is out there. I believe Waxworks or Mondo, one of the two, did a reissue of the soundtrack with some score of the film. But the Dickies put out their own EP with their theme song from the film, The Killer Clowns, which is fun. But the rest of this is just the Dickies. And it's got a great song on here called Jim Bowie, which, if you want to think of a punk-ish tribute song to a frontiersman, this is going to be the one to go to, the 1800s frontiersman. But they also have a cover on here called Eep, Op, Ork, Uh-uh. And this is
Mm.
going to make me sound like a very obscure brain. I pulled this out of somewhere, but that is a song that was from one episode of the Jetsons cartoon in the early 70s, where I believe Elroy
Okay.
wrote a song contest and they submitted it and it won, and a rock group did that. So the Dickies have covered it.
Yeah. Eep up or walla walla bing bang.
That
Eep
means
up
I
or
love you.
walla. See, I actually
speaking
remember that.
speaking of outer space, Steve, and I saw your channel this morning. Look what I brought in. The Spaceman 3 and the Perfect Prescription. You and I have a history with this album, correct?
Hmm. Yep, we sure do.
And
Yes, sir. That
you just found a an original again. And
Yeah.
you had an original, but the original copy of this that you had, you got from my collection. We've talked, I think, that this was
Yeah.
the first album that you bought from our store here once, when we had opened.
Hmm.
So that
Yeah.
one was one of the ones that came out of my personal collection, and I needed to get off the ground here at the store, and you snagged it.
You bet. Yeah.
But
Yeah. And
then
now
that,
you got,
yep. But this is a reissue. This is a UK 180 gram from, let's see, I took that down, 2013. So no slouch in there, but it's very good. You want to talk about some droning UK alternative? I guess I'm going to go there. How else would you describe that?
uh, yeah, it definitely, there's a lot of heavy drone,
Yep.
but it's the songwriting is very good. And for those that don't know, it's a concept album of taking a drug trip. And you actually, I mean, they do such a good job, at least I'm going to say they do because I don't have any experience with this, but the start of the excitement of it to the very last song, which is called The Doctor,
Yep. Call the
which,
doctor.
okay, yeah, which means things aren't going well right now, man.
No,
Call the doctor.
not
So,
quite what you wanted. But yeah, this was originally
yeah,
released, what, in 89. So this is late 80s alternative, picking up
yeah,
on that drone. But yeah, that popped in, and I thought, I used to have that. I enjoyed it when I had it, but wasn't up on my list. But again, when the store started, I let go of a few things to kind of help get us off the ground. And I'm glad you got another original, though. That was one of the
yeah,
flood loss.
yeah.
A
Hmm.
couple more here. This is another one of those bootlegs where they split it up into part one and part two just to make sure that you're spending more money when you get them. I got a Rush pair of Rush bootlegs. This is Stockholm Monsters from a 2007 performance in Sweden. And there's volume one,
Okay.
and there's a volume two. This is a live a live tour from that broadcast in 2007, which would have been Rush's Snakes and Arrows tour. And that particular tour back then, I actually saw twice here in the United States, once down in Florida and once in here in Michigan, beginning and the end of the tour. So this was a cool one for me to have. This is another one of those that was announced last year. I mean, midsummer last year, and I put in for pre-order for a few. I know some folks that were looking for it as well as I was, and it just showed up like 2 weeks ago. So another one of those delay, and then they
Yeah.
finally kick them out. And they actually, volume two showed up about 2 weeks before volume one did. So I'm not even going to question why. But yeah, I mean, both of them are double LP, black vinyl, nothing too special. But it's one of those just live shows that you like, and they did a good job with it. It sounds good. Happy to have them added to the Rush boot side of things. Okay, and then finally, I have got a Michigan edition. To now, the week that you were gone, the first week where I did the episode here by myself, I put in a 45. I want to talk about that here in a little bit. It was kind of a mystery 45 from a Saginaw group. Well, I had an album come in from a band. I thought it was Sub Rosa at first, but the name of the band is Infections, and the album is called Sub Rosa. And listen to it. It's good 80s alternative, not too far from Spaceman 3. Um, I'm having a difficult time placing this, but it's the heavier, almost drone alternative. Sounds like The Cure, but a little hyped up a little more. And in researching
Hmm.
this is a band from Grand Rapids originally,
Oh,
and their their Discogs bio said that they were formed in 1979. Infections became West Michigan's pioneering indie punk band, who quickly amassed a following with their volatile live shows, often left venues looking like war zones. But then in the summer of
uh,
1981, they had a single called I'm Not Funny, became a local number one seller. But by 1982, the band had opted for a more serious musical approach, so they moved away from that heavier punk. They took 3 years off, and then they came back in 86 with Sub Rosa, which really is alternative. Discogs calls it new wave, but I'm not sure I'm going to go there. I did mention The Cure, but not quite The Cure. It's kind of that middle ground of late 80s alternative that just, it sounds kind of cool. I did not find this on Spotify at all, nor was it on YouTube. So I put this up on our YouTube channel. So I'll have a link to that, or if you want to go looking, it'll be on the Radio Wasteland YouTube channel. I've got the entire album loaded up into our Michigan playlist side of things. So some cool stuff on here, some stuff that's like, it's okay, but it's almost got a UK type of sound. Now, the one single that they mentioned, I wanted to bring this up, Steve. This album on Discogs, the Sub Rosa from Infections, is not a valuable album. I think that they've got them starting about $5. It looks like they've sold upwards of $10 on Discogs, so not not expensive at all. But if you find their 7-inch single that they talked about from 1981, it's called Girls in Magazines and I'm Not Funny. There's one copy for sale on Discogs right now for $1,400.
Wow.
And it's sold for upwards of $700 to $800 previously on Discogs. So I'm at a little
Wow.
bit of a loss as to how the single, which would have been Infection's punk era in the early 90s, was worth so much more than what they mellowed out into their alternative side by
Yeah.
1986 in the mid 80s. I'm sorry, early 80s I mentioned with their punk, but definitely something to watch out for if you ever see that single. That's going to be worth a little bit, but very cool stuff. I'll send you the link too, so you can listen to this at your leisure. But I'll also put that link up since it's not going to be in the Spotify playlist side of things.
Sure.
Neat stuff, but those are my pickups for this week. So yeah, as we do every time we do our pickups, as well as whatever the other stuff we discuss on the episodes, we'll put up a Spotify playlist to give you folks a chance to listen in on some of the music that we're talking about. Some of it we can't quite get away with on the copyright side of things here, so we do that Spotify playlist to get you into that and let you listen. So look for that link in the description of both the Spotify episode and on the YouTube episode. Click on that. I don't think you need a full out Spotify subscription to listen to it. I may be wrong. I've got one, so it always plays
You know,
automatically.
no, the free one, which I have, does. You're just going to get commercials. They're just going to pop in there. So as long as you don't mind that, you're okay.
You can go through and listen and go through this. So I'll have that up as well. Okay, very quick follow up, Steve, since I mentioned this. On the episode a couple of weeks back, the abbreviated one, I had a little bit of a record mystery, and it was a 7-inch that came into the store by a Saginaw artist named Thornton and Sheared. And let me show that up a little closer here. I put up on our YouTube channel as well, looking for a little more information after I talked about it in the episode. The song Rat is on the A side and Take All of Me on the B side. It's 80s. The Rat is really kind of a garage rock sound, but it's got some funk undertones to it, some of that
Hmm.
80s-ish funk, where Take All of Me has got some heavy keyboard action and more of a soul. I don't want to call it Northern soul, but it's close to it. But I put this up because I was not able to find any information whatsoever. I put this into Discogs as well. I put it up onto YouTube, so it exists out there now. But prior to us doing that, nothing. One of our viewers has taken upon themselves to do a deeper dive looking for this, and they found a little bit more information, some records of the family names going back in Saginaw, and the label itself. It appeared to be just the Quest label, but the LRC stood, and I forget what it is now, but it traced back to a Bay City label that did independent pressings for folks in the late 70s and early 80s. So definitely has it in there. Furthermore, where I couldn't find any, obviously there was no Discogs sale history on this whatsoever. And I looked, I thought, on PopPsych, but the viewer that chimed in and helped out actually found a PopPsych entry on this from a previous eBay sale that brought in around $100 on this. So a little bit of value. It did exist out there. Folks have known about it a little bit. So it has made it on the eBay circuit at least once, and we'll see where it goes. Not sure what I'm going to do with this. It's not the kind of music, I'm not really into it, so I'm not going to keep it for my Michigan, but we might find somebody. The other thing I wanted to point out, and oddly enough, I listened to this once or twice when it came in. I listened to it when I did the upload to our YouTube channel, but I didn't really listen to it carefully. I gave it another good listen, and in the song Rat, almost toward the end, there are sound effects of rat squeaks in through there that I didn't pick up the first couple times through. And I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, disturbing, but interesting. You just bring in. We need to hire some rats. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got these that we can bring in. They sing. So good.
I wonder what the
Fantastic.
going rate on that is for a Rat
Yeah.
background. They were working with that Michael Jackson album as well with Ben.
Uh-huh.
So that's been interesting. I've got another Michigan mystery one that I'm working on here at the store. I'll get this uploaded in the meantime. But let me just give you the teaser on this because I'll probably talk about it next week. What happens if you take a traditional Greek folk music, and I'm talking it's not polka when you talk Greek. It's going to be Greek
Yeah.
folk music. The Detroit area has a very large, in fact, there's a section of Detroit that's called Greektown. So there's some very heavy Latin Greek history in the Detroit area. I found an album from a Greek traditional folk group from Detroit, one of their later albums from the mid 70s, and Discogs calls it folk music disco. And I thought that's not
Okay.
possible. So I listened to some of it, and no, it was traditional Greek folk music. But then all of a sudden, the disco beats kicked in. So I won't tell the name of the group or anything. I'm working on this. We'll talk about it next week because I'll have it out there and I'll have it uploaded. This one's a little easier because I have been able to find some history on that group, whereas Thornton and Sheard I had
Hmm.
not. But folks, if you want to hear some traditional Greek folk disco music, make sure you tune in next week.
Oh,
We'll
wow.
talk about that. So, yeah, and the infections one was another one. I'm really getting into doing some research on these Michigan bands, especially some of the more obscure stuff, and making sure that we get that out there and preserve it on YouTube and make sure that it's up to date on Discogs and the like, so folks can hear them for themselves and remember it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's neat. It's, just you keep finding. I mean, how many bands recorded? We just never know. But there's a lot of cool stuff out there.
There is, and I love helping to preserve that. Like I said on our Michigan playlist, yeah. If you go to the Radio Wasteland Records YouTube channel, there is a play under the playlist section. There's a Made in Michigan one, which is all the Michigan music that I have kind of not all of it. I'm still working on a pile of some of it, but all of the Michigan music that I've gotten to that we've put up on there to make sure that there is a some preservation of it and through there some cool
Yeah.
stuff. Cool.
Very nice.
So, Steve, earlier you had mentioned the Pink Floyd catalog, and I know we talked about that a little bit more in depth. And there was one news item I
Hmm.
wanted to kick in here today that is catalog related. And you and I know we've talked before, neither one of us are big, I don't want to say fans. I'm familiar with it. I can respect her work and what she does. I just don't listen to her music. As a record store guy, I probably should be more adept at it. But Taylor Swift is back in the news.
Yeah. Yeah. She
Now,
sure is, and
the
doing her thing.
She is. Now, you may remember the bit by bit, she was in a huge feud with, I think it was like an old management and the old label, where she ended up leaving the label but did not own the rights to her first 6 albums. And that's
Hmm.
what birthed the whole idea of the Taylor's versions as they were coming out. She was re-releasing these so much so that I think she had called them stolen. The first few albums were stolen. Her fans, I know, we've even had some come to the store here that would refuse to buy reissues of the original albums because they followed the notion that Taylor had said that they had stolen those from her. They were no longer hers, so they would buy the Taylor's versions of those albums. So now
Yeah.
comes the news, and I've got a Variety page pulled up here that says Taylor Swift, shocker, the singer has bought back and will begin reissuing her first 6 albums. So she bought back the rights to all of those original albums, even Reputation. So the deal with Shamrock Holdings, it was a holdings group, a triumph for Swift after 6 years of turmoil in which her catalog had been sold and then resold to that financial holdings company. The price tag came at what she considered a reasonable price, even though they've not disclosed what that price was.
Ah, that's too bad. I was
It
kind of
is.
interested in
So
that.
I've got a couple thoughts on this, but yeah, she purchased her catalog of recordings that were initially released through Big Machine Records, and after 6 years of transfers and turmoil, she acquired those 6 albums and the associated visuals from the most recent owner, Shamrock Capital, for an undisclosed 9-figure sum. 9-figure sum. Let me kick that in there. If I'm correct, that's in the billions, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or hundreds of millions.
Wow.
I have to stop and think. Maybe it's hundreds.
Wow.
Um, She said that this is her greatest dream come true, actually being pretty reserved about it, thanking the company that sold the rights back to her. All I've ever wanted was the opportunity to work hard enough to be able to one day purchase my music outright with no strings attached, no partnership, with full autonomy. So she'll be forever grateful to everyone at Shamrock Capital for being the first people to offer it back to her. So now here comes the tricky part for me. She has announced that she's going to be reissuing her old albums from the Big Machine label, first sold by Big Machine against her wishes in 2019. So what does that mean for the fact, though, that she had, you get into here with the Scooter Braun and the whole drama about the just the animosity between the two going through on this. But my big question is, she spent the good part of the past 5-6 years reissuing, not reissuing, but re-recording those albums as Taylor's versions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And her fans scooped them up. So you had, and I don't think that they were remarkably different. I mean, they're just updated vocals, probably a different little bit of a mix, different enough to keep her out of copyright trouble with whoever the rights holders were at that time. Mm-hmm. So now, does that mean that everybody that had owned those first albums, or maybe skipped them because they wanted to own her versions of them to support her, now all of a sudden those first 6 are going to be reissued yet again in their original format with their original artwork, most likely as well? This, I mean, I don't know. You see where I'm going with this? Is this a little bit of a disservice to everyone that came on board her ship in the past 5 years and supported her with her Taylor's versions of them, are now going to go back and re-support her again, buying those originals again?
So I think what will happen is you release one, see what happens. And if they all go nuts and gaga, release. I mean, then, just you have to pay for that one too. So they'll, of course, all she needs to do is do one more world tour, and she might be able to pay for it all.
Heck yeah.
But I mean, it is a remarkable business person, or people behind her are somebody's really remarkable for everything that happens with her. So I would not be surprised she has super fans that they would want those if they don't have them already.
One of the things the headline catches here too is that I guess the last of them, Reputation, there was scheduled to be a Taylor's version of Reputation. She just says, well, it can still have its moment to reemerge later. So that means that even though she now owns her original Reputation again, and she's probably finished re-recording it for the Taylor's version, she's just going to release that as well again. So I don't know.
Maybe that guy that did the folk Greek disco could come in and do disco version of them too, Taylor Disco.
You never know. We might come back around on that. I know that there are lullaby, children's lullaby instrumental versions of those. That's been out there. So we'll watch it, and I'm sure that the Taylor Swift fans will continue to support her and buy that up as well. But this could be a caution, in my opinion, this could be a cautionary tale as well, as far, how far can you push a super fan? We've talked about that before. I've reached kind of my limit with the Pink Floyd bootlegs, so to speak. I say that now, of course. The same thing with the Rush bootlegs. I say that now. And the box sets, we say that now. But maybe there is an end cap to all of these things that will say, you know what, I've got the original from that record label. I've got the Taylor's version. I'm good.
Yeah, it is remarkable, her fan base. I mean, all these other artists, they have big fan bases, but I don't know if they have that fervor that she creates out there. And now all the first Swifties are now into their adult age, but even my daughter-in-law, she likes Taylor Swift. She plays it. She doesn't own any of her stuff, but it's on her whatever plays in the house, and still supports her by playing the music. I I was trying to think of other groups that had that. Maybe the Beatles, I guess, to some extent, except they didn't
Yeah.
last nearly as long.
No, they didn't, and but as far as the reaction to the rabid fan base, you could go back into the '60s and see a few other acts like that. But we've all seen the footage of the audiences at Beatles shows like with Sullivan or some of their
Yeah.
U.S. tour where they took the U.S. by storm with people screaming and crying and freaking out, and that's what you see at some
Mhm.
Taylor Swift concerts, and you may see that at a few
Yeah.
other. I think there was an Iggy Pop concert where people were crying, but that was probably for a different. Okay.
Yeah, I probably, but I mean, some of these, they show these interviews with little, girls that couldn't get tickets to it, even some
Oh yeah,
guys, and they seem suicidal if they can't
yeah,
get in. My life's over, and
yeah.
why bother going on living here? So mom and dad or whatever go out and pay $1 billion to get a ticket.
You mentioned that, and the first big Taylor Swift release for Record Store Day 2 or 3 years ago, we saw a miniature version of that because even though we had 30, 40 copies of it, which for again our store is a large amount of copies for a store our size, and there were tears on both sides of the customer base. People that some of the Swift fans that got that Taylor Swift release were crying that they got it. When we ran
Mhm.
out, people in the back part of the line, some of the other fans were crying that they didn't get it. So it was kind of a it was both ways. I'm so happy I'm crying. I got it. I didn't get it. I'm so unhappy I'm crying. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
emotional.
just amazing. Yeah, it is. It's absolutely amazing. What the emotion behind her and her music. I think a lot of artists go, man, how does she do that? Like, how does she connect? And it's connection, and somehow she knows how to do it. It started with the aw shucks kind of thing, and so mom and dad, well, she seems safe. I like her, but as she's grown older, she's matured her music, but people keep going along with it. And a lot
Yeah.
of groups that doesn't happen. They do that. They go, no, I like that other stuff. What are they doing? Her fan base keeps enjoying it and supporting it.
Well, they're maturing with her, and I feel that that's part of the
Yeah.
connection is they feel as if they are growing with her, and that's when something
Mhm.
like this happens where she felt the anger and the animosity with the old label and the old manager, that Scooter Braun, as far as going so far as to say those first 6 albums were stolen from me. That's why you get such an emotional attachment of the fans saying, okay, those were stolen. I'm not going to support those versions of those albums. And now that she's happy that she's got them back, they're growing and maturing with her. They're with her on
Yeah.
a journey. How does that sound? And they're feeling that emotional
Yeah.
connection as they go through. And I get it. I mean, I don't think that I would ever be so emotionally connected to a group. And I'll say this now, yes, even Rush, that I would be moved to tears. I was sad when Neil Peart died, but
Yeah.
not fanatically so. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I can't say I am. There's, I'm not that way with any kind of group either. But uh, yeah, what she's created is amazing, and her fan base. Yeah, I mean, she ran for president. Oh, Lord knows.
It's 2030 something. We'll see where we go from there. How's
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Okay, well,
Exactly.
definitely something to follow. We'll keep an eye on that. But I think that will probably do it for this week's episode of Two Guys Talking About Records. I hear your side hustle call in, Steve.
So, oh my God, have you heard the emails are just bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
Most of it's just pool reports. As they go to each pool,
All right.
they have to
Now,
do something.
as you go through all of this follow up from your super busy time, do you have to fill out an overall duty report, the number of duties that were found in the pools? Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no
we
bill.
actually have a thing. Yes.
Okay. There we go. All right, folks. Well, you have been watching and or listening to Two Guys Talking About Records, of Vinyl Community Podcast. Hopefully we're back on an even keel as we head into the summertime months where listening seems to be down a little bit, but it is still fun when we do it.
Yes, it is. It still is. So we're going to keep trying, and hopefully we just now things, at least I can have Sunday off, and that we can do this.
Hopefully you can begin to chill a little bit here, Steve, and that
Yeah.
we're all concerned for your well-being and your listening habits.
Yes. Or lack of.
Thereof.
Yep. Thank
So
you. Yep.
Till next week, my name's Jim, and I own a record store.
And my name's Steve. I am a record collector.
All right. Well, good luck, Steve.
Everyone
Hang
have a
in there,
good
man.
one. Yep. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.